service that dates from 2013 to maybe in the last 3 years.
And 26,000 suppliers who did business with the National Youth Service from 2013 to date to be paid a total sum of 6 billion shillings. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Once again, I welcome you to this broadcast. My name is Purity Muse, and Byron Abuli is a sign language interpreter tonight. Let's now get started. There is a possibility that schools might not reopen for the rest of the year, and learners will be forced to repeat their classes. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says the safety of the learners overrides the urge to resume learning given the worrying trend of the spike in coronavirus positive cases in the country. While receiving a preliminary report from Education Response Committee on COVID-19, Professor Magoha said the government will not take risks and gamble with the lives of its children.
In a move to end speculation caused by the divided opinion on whether schools should be reopened amid the COVID-19 pandemic, the 9 members Education Response Committee on COVID-19 presented its preliminary report
that we want to be responsible for, and the answer is 0.
Even as the report is expected to advise the government on the modalities of reopening schools, for now schools, colleges and universities may remain shut longer than expected as the government maintains that it will not rush to reopen schools.
Let us agree that a child who is alive and well at home is better than one who attempted to do the exam and died there. The ministry wishes to state categorically that all decisions will be made by giving priority to the health and safety of learners and teachers of schools thereof.
According to the Education Cabinet Secretary, the new confirmed positive cases in the country is worrying and safety of learners remain paramount. Magoha cited other countries that tried rushing to ease restrictions only for cases to spike, warning that the ministry will be cautious but will not gamble with the lives of learners, urging parents not to see their children at home as burden, but also taking responsibility to teach them some life skills.
Let us not take our children as a burden. So as the children remain at home, don't say they are not learning. They should be learning from their parents. And you don't just, learning does not mean learning mathematics. There's so much to learn in life. And it should start with the family. So this is an opportune time for us to strengthen parental engagement in terms of going forward.
The task force, according to the CS, was not about opening schools, but mainly to look at the safety measures required and already in place if schools were to reopen. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
And the CS Magoha says that a child is better alive at home than in school trying to do exams and end up dying because of this pandemic. Do you agree with that? At Purity_Muse and at KBC Channel 1 News, the hashtag Channel 1 Weekend. Your views, feedback, highly appreciated. The Ministry of Health is warning of a possible surge of coronavirus cases in the country, as many are now disregarding all precautionary measures and sliding to business as usual. The country recorded 127 new cases in the last 24 hours, with Health Chief Administrative Secretary Dr. Mercy Mwangangi expressing disappointment on Kenyans dodging the lockdown to sneak out and in of restricted areas. Currently, Kenya has 1,745 confirmed cases. At day 78 since the country recorded its first case of COVID-19 disease in mid-March this year, and the Minister of Health laments that the majority of Kenyans are just too reckless and throwing caution to the winds.
We have also observed a worrisome trend. There are individuals who are using unofficial routes, these are panya routes, to get in and out of restricted areas. And we would like to remind such people that Nairobi and Mombasa are currently the counties that have the highest number of infections, and therefore sneaking out of these areas is equivalent to sneaking the virus into other counties. And those engaged in this practice may think that it is heroic, But it is important for them to remember that they have simply taken the virus to their families and friends.
Health Chief Administrative Secretary Dr. Mercy Mwangangi warning of worrying times ahead if the country surrenders to the bygone.
We would also like to add caution that when you do receive a negative result, this is not a ticket for you to ignore the containment measures, and that one can easily contract the virus immediately after getting a negative test. And so we must remain cautious at all times.
This as the number of COVID-19 cases in the country continues its upward trend, with confirmed cases hitting 1,745 following 127 new coronavirus cases on Friday.
We have recorded another high of 127 positive cases out of 3,831 samples tested. We therefore now have confirmed 1,745 positives in the country. In Nairobi, we have 76. In Mombasa, 19. In Busia, 16. Uasin Gishu, 8. Kiambu, 2. Kajiado, 5. Isiolo, 1.
During a similar period, the country lost 4 more people and 17 more were discharged, bringing the number of recoveries so far to 438.
We can stop this if we all cooperate together and deal this monster a fatal blow. The silver bullet that is needed to do this is largely behavior change, an internal drive to observe the various restrictions and practice the containment measures that have been advocated for by the Ministry of Health.
Nairobi now has a total of 911 confirmed coronavirus cases, Mombasa with 509, Kajiado comes third with 69 cases, Kiambu County has a total of 41 cases, while Busia 38. Kenya to date has managed to test 74,003 individuals. In Kiambu County, police have sealed off the Shiko Court's apartments in Kiambu after 2 people said to have tested positive for the coronavirus were traced to the building. Residents of the 60 units in the apartment have been barred from going out and no one is allowed entry into the building. 2 of the latest cases in the country are said to have been residents at the building, and its sealing by authorities is aimed at having all residents tested for COVID-19 and fumigation. And still in Kiambu, police are using drones to enforce a strict cessation of movement into and out of the Nairobi metropolitan area to curb the spread of coronavirus. Officer Lamek Malagia, who is in charge of the operations at the Kilimambogo roadblock along Thika Highway, says the new technology has enabled them to arrest those flouting the government directives.
As the country continues to register increased confirmed COVID-19 cases, the National Police Service has now deployed technology to monitor those trying to sneak into or out of Nairobi metropolitan areas. In a roadblock in Kilimambogo, Thika, Kiambu County, these officers, drawn from Border Police Unit, are using drones which are remotely controlled to monitor movement along the busy Thika-Garissa Highway.
What you do first is
This making the roadblock watertight to ensure no one enters or leaves the metropolitan area without permission.
iko na camera, very good camera, na tunatuma all around here, na inatuonesha mahali ambapo watu wanapita kwa njia za mkato.
Lamek Malagia is the officer in charge of the operations at the roadblock and says the new technology has enabled them to arrest persons found using alternative routes to get their way in and out of the metropolitan.
Hata hivyo kuna wale wachache ambao wanatumia njia za mkato.
So far, the officer says they have managed to arrest several motorcycles which have been booked and are awaiting arraignment. According to police, most of those trying to beat the lockdown resort to motorcycles to sneak them out.
We have had support ya wananchi ambao wakikuja tukiwaelezea na wakijua wafai kuenda wanarudi.
People were predicting by April we would be having 10,000 cases. Today we have only about 1,000. It means all the measures the government has put, the measures of roadblocks like this, the measures of telling people stay home, don't go to churches, don't go to school, the measures of putting the curfew in place, those things are working.
In Meru, police officers manning a roadblock at Keria along Chuka Meru Highway last night intercepted a bus which was ferrying 33 passengers from Malindi to Kianjai, Tigania West Sub-County of Meru County. According to Meru County Commissioner Alan Mashari, the church bus was ferrying mourners for a burial at Kianjai in Tigania West Sub-County.
We were able to provide transport for the body and facilitate one close relative of the deceased, and we facilitated the transportation of the body to Tigania West, where he will be laid to rest.
Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
And Korir, well done. You're watching from Bomet County. Alexis Morara, you're also watching. That's on our Twitter account. And Babu Odera, you're saying let the schools reopen next year, but Professor Magoha should come up with a concrete measures to be used by the students to boost their learning during this pandemic. And then also we have Evans Ngudi, who is watching from Diani, Mombasa County. Leonard Maluku, you're saying life is the greatest priority and measures made to protect Kenyans from this pandemic should be prioritized too, watching from Makueni County. Of course, tell us what you think, especially on Professor Magoha's, who is the Education Cabinet Secretary, assurance that we may even have our children or schools reopen next year as long as they are safer at home. At Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 News. The hashtag is Channel 1 Weekend. Also, tell us what you think about the increasing number of COVID-19 now officially community spread. Kenyans adhering to the guidelines provided by the Minister of Health or flouting, as the CAS was claiming early today. President Uhuru Kenyatta has emphasized the need for global solidarity in response to COVID-19, saying all stakeholders must read from the same script to overcome the challenges posed by the pandemic. The president said Kenya is doing her best to not only slow down the spread of the virus in the country, but also support the region and the continent in dealing with the health crisis.
President Kenyatta spoke Thursday evening during a virtual high-level meeting on development financing in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic convened by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, his Jamaican counterpart Andrew Holness, and the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres.
To address the COVID-19 pandemic and the associated financing needs, each one of us in government and in business must play their respective roles. Global solidarity is about all of us coming together.
The president told the meeting that the current health crisis will stifle global growth this year, leading to financial market volatility and increased debt risk, especially in developing countries.
Official development assistance is likely to fall far below the 2018 levels, and short-term financial market volatility, as well as debt risks, will rise further, not just for the less developed countries, but also for vulnerable middle-income developing countries, as we have heard from some of our colleagues. Sadly, we have also in the same period witnessed protective trade behavior with direct impact on our exports and therefore our financial capacity to cater for the health and economic needs of our people. We find ourselves in a truly special historic time.
To address the socio-economic challenges resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic, President Kenyatta said the global community needs to focus on the implementation of the United Nations Vision 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals SDGs.
Times that demand that we focus our energies to the agenda of 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals that we all passed as the United Nations. This is not, I believe, a time to retreat from this great ambition. In my view, we need to focus our actions on that will help us to first and foremost expand liquidity in the global economy and maintain financial stability, to
to safeguard development gains that we have already achieved.
Speaking on behalf of the African Union, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said COVID-19 is a real threat to the collective ability of the global community to achieve SDGs, especially for developing countries. In his remarks, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres unveiled a 6-point roadmap he said will help the world overcome the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Other measures advanced by the UN both included enhanced financing for inclusive growth and job creation, expansion of the fiscal space, and promotion of domestic resource mobilization, as well as alignment of recovery policies with SDGs. Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
Elsewhere, former Deputy Director at the Center for Virus Research, Dr. Joel Tomaya, says that he was not accorded a fair hearing before his demotion at the Kenya Medical Research Institute. Dr. Joel says his removal from office was rushed and the KEMRI board failed to follow due process. Now, Dr. Joel was demoted in April following a delay in the release of COVID-19 test results.
The next issue was on the impact on KEMRI as an institution.
On Friday, Dr. Joel Lutomi appeared before the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19 to explain the circumstances surrounding his demotion at the Kenya Medical Research Institute. Dr. Lutomi accused KEMRI of summarily removing him from office as the Deputy Director at the Center for Virus Research without hearing his defense.
On 15th of May, I received a letter from the chairman of the Human Resource Management Advisory Committee requiring me to appear before them on 16 so that they can actually collect information regarding what transpired on that particular day. But I was informed that the report that they would collect would actually they not make use of it for making any recommendation at all.
In a letter to the committee, KEMRI clarified that Dr. Lutomia was not sacked but relieved of his COVID-19 administrative duties for failing to meet deadlines.
Instead of seeking for further information from the ministry, and in view of the fact that he has not been subjected to any disciplinary process, why don't we recommend that he be reinstated back to his position? Instead of getting the CS again to come and the DG to come, it's been done outside the legal framework.
The senators are analyzing submissions from KEMRI, Ministry of Health and the former Deputy Director to establish if the demotion was legal. Dr. Lutomia, a specialist in infectious diseases, medical entomology and medical virology, was also chairman of the KEMRI Rapid Response Team in charge of KEMRI laboratories in Kilifi, Busia, Kisumu, Kericho and Nairobi.
It seems most of us are agreeing to what Professor Mago has said, that schools may even reopen next year as long as the children are safe. Ariro Evelyn, KBC Channel 1, let schools reopen, be opened once COVID-19 is done away with. God is in control, as usual, watching from Eastleigh. Thank you so much. And then we also have Karinga Simon, you're watching. Thank you for that. Watching from Embakasi, DJ Spring Cool, you're watching from Embakasi. Let's follow the guidelines by the government to overcome this pandemic. And then Catherine Mweni, it's fine for students to stay at home and stay safe, but we beg the Minister of Health that Minister of Health could get other new measures to keep the students tuned academically. Keep your views and opinions coming. Remember, today there has been pressure and questions from parents and guardians when students and pupils will reopen. And today Mago has said, considering the cases that we are experiencing, reporting in the country, then we will not try to trade the lives of our children with anything else. Let's now take our first commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We still have plenty more to come. Stay with us.
Aya. Unanipigia na reverse goal. Unajua ile kitu naweza reverse peke yake. Ni Land Rover nikiendea wahalifu mahali wako. Ndio wakucha wameingia kwa Land Rover chup. Lakini wewe kunipigia reverse goal. Why are you defrauding the government? No. Look for the airtime and call me. Okay?
Kupata police reverse, bonyeza *811 *960 hash. Bonyeza *811 *960 hash.
On the next episode of Elena's Ghost.
Latonia once told Nena Ochoa the whole story, and that's why she knows that. Yeah?
No, Walter, because Latonia can't talk. She can't even move. What are those? Gunshots?
Some idiot came here looking for trouble. Come with me.
What are you?
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You're coming with me.
Let go of me.
Come on now.
What are you
I'm
doing?
not going to risk having another person get to you first. We're going to the basement, and you stay right here in this room.
Let go of me.
Come on now.
We want you to move both the meth and the money.
What's in it for me besides more cash?
A lot more cash.
Guys, we got company rolling in from the west, hard and fast.
I want Strager and the rest of his punk pilots in handcuffs by sundown.
You do what you gotta do to get him back.
You got my friend killed.
Running drugs made it happen.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Hassan tena amefanya nini tena? Hassan mimi naona sasa hivi ananitafutia kifo tu, Hassan ananitafutia mimi sijui anataka nini. Hivi ndio vitu sasa vya kumvua nguo peupe huyo. Acha kwanza tupate
And welcome back to Channel 1 Weekend with Byron Abuli, who is a sign language interpreter, and I, Purity Museo. A total of 26,000 suppliers who did business with the National Youth Service will be paid 6 billion shillings. The Public Service and Gender Cabinet Secretary, Professor Margaret Kobia, said only those who produced genuine documents to support the items they supplied will receive their dues. Kobia said all pending bills at the National Youth Service were scrutinized by the interagency team instituted by the government to prevent any pilferage of public funds, and only those who have been cleared will be paid.
Genuine suppliers who did business with the National Youth Service will start receiving their dues from next week. Speaking at the NYS headquarters in Ruaraka at an event that aimed at recognizing the efforts made by NYS servicemen and women in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, such as manufacturing of face masks for public use, CS Public Service Professor Margaret Kobia said it was unfortunate that some people have not been paid their dues since 2013.
The reason why these bills took longer, they had to undergo verification. Most of the suppliers know that when NYS Scandal 2 happened, then all payments were stopped.
At the moment, 26,000 suppliers have been verified and will share a total of 6 billion shillings set aside to clear the pending bills.
Check your name on the website. If your company is being paid, just wait, because you have given all the details. You'll be paid through IFMIS and the money will hit your account by maybe starting from next week.
Kama uoni jina yako, kuna 8 billion ingine ambao tutarelease. Lakini hiyo bado inachunguzwa. Kwa nini tunachunguza? Kwa sababu process mingi hazikufuatilia ile mikakati ya tendering.
According to the Ministry of Public Service, cases of alleged fraud at the institution led to delay in disbursing the funds. But the ministry was categorical that the new management had sealed loopholes that previously were exploited by corrupt elements to fleece the institution.
If we remember the National Youth Service 1 and 2, some of the suppliers brought good but just by being called on telephone. or just coming here and saying, can I bring firewood, and you brought. So that cannot pass any procurement process. So those bills have been pending, and some of them are about 8 billion.
Lakini lazima tuseme ukweli, kuna watu walikuwa wamesupply vitu kwa NYS na wamekaa miaka mingi bila kulipwa kwa sababu ya shida ambayo ilikuwa kwa NYS. Sisi tumetransform NYS. Tumeitoa mahali ilikuwa na mahali iko saa hii, pesa kupotea NYS itakuwa ngumu sana. Sioni ikifanyika.
As part of the efforts to help the fight against coronavirus pandemic, the NYS has so far manufactured and distributed about 1.7 million masks. The Ministry of Gender has also disbursed 690 million shillings and 255 million shillings respectively to benefit women and youth and people with disabilities at the constituency levels. And as the government tries to clear all the pending bills it has with suppliers at the NYS, the government is calling on all contractors to ensure that in the future they follow the due tendering process. Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News, Nairobi.
Thank you, Kamche. And in counties, the Council of Governors have disputed claims that county governments are not prepared to handle COVID-19 in case of an upsurge on confirmed cases. Council of Governors Chair Wycliffe Oparanya, who is also the governor for Kakamega, said all the 47 counties have equipped their intensive care units to handle COVID-19 patients.
With the coronavirus pandemic having hit the community transmission, the Council of Governors affirms of its readiness to avert further spread of COVID-19. The county governments have in the past complained of lack of equipment to handle a surge in COVID-19. Friday, the Council of Governors Chair Wycliffe Oparanya says all 47 counties are equipped enough to combat the contagious virus.
Now all counties have ICU facilities. Before then, we had only 16 counties with ICU facilities, but the entire 47 counties now have ICU facilities. So this COVID coronavirus has also helped us as counties to improve on our health care.
32 counties have been hit by COVID-19. According to the Ministry of Health, Nairobi County leads in the number of infections, followed by Mombasa County. Oparanya said county governments have injected 6.1 billion shillings towards COVID-19 emergency fund.
And this is a wake-up call for all of us, that now we must be prepared, since healthcare is actually 95% devolved to the counties. So the counties should continue to improve their system in view of the fact also that UHC is now being implemented in all the 47 counties.
He spoke while receiving a 5.8 million shillings donation from the Fred Hollows Foundation towards the fight against coronavirus. 13 counties, among them Homa Bay, Kisumu, Narok, Meru, West Pokot and Turkana, are set to benefit from the medical items. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
Let's now get some facts on coronavirus. Childbirth comes with a mixed bag of feelings, among them uncertainty, and with the current global pandemic, expectant women have a lot of fears, key of which is guarantee of a safe delivery. Tonight on our coronavirus fact sheet, we look at how to cope in these circumstances.
One of the leading killers of newborn babies is infection. So how do we prevent infections in newborn? The first thing is, at the time of delivery, when the cord is cut, the Ministry of Health has issued guidelines for the use of chlorhexidine gel, which is available in most health facilities. This is applied on the cord after cutting the cord, and thereafter once a day for 7 days or until the cord falls off. In addition to these measures of applying chlorhexidine gel, the mother is encouraged to practice hand hygiene, hand washing, before feeding her baby, after feeding her baby, after changing her baby, and in general, the infection prevention control measures that have been advocated for during this COVID-19 pandemic.
In other news, Kenya Forest Service Chief Conservator Julius Kamau has called on KFS rangers stationed in Olosimoru, Narok County, to be vigilant in the wake of communal clashes in the area. Kamau also called on the officers to collaborate with environment stakeholders and desist from engaging in any activities that could fuel more conflicts in the area.
The Chief Conservator of Forest, Julius Kamau, is urging the Kenya Forest Service officers to improve their interaction with the community in Olosimorum, Narok County, especially this time when tension is high in the area due to communal clashes.
We try to engage with the communities around our forest ecosystem through the community forest associations. And because they have diverse nature and ethnic background, we normally tell them that basically environment does not know tribal differences.
Elsewhere, residents of Mukuru Kwanjenga slums who cannot afford rent due to the current COVID-19 pandemic have sought the intervention of Embakasi South Deputy County Commissioner Stephen Emojong to petition landlords on their behalf.
Waelewane, waone mikakati vile wale tenants wanaweza pia kuwa accommodated, okay? Wajikimu, tuelewe ya kwamba tunapambana na ile hali ambayo si ya kawaida.
Elsewhere, residents of Subukia in Nakuru County have called for the prosecution of contractors working in Subukia Masen Road over claims of negligence. They say lack of signage on the road and poor diversion routes are a major concern for motorists plying the said route. In Mombasa, the public has been urged to donate blood to boost reservoirs in the National Blood Bank. Coast Regional Blood Bank Chief Executive Officer Hassan Kithi says due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it has been difficult to mobilize people to donate blood. Kirinyaga County Government has embarked on a program to improve on primary health care in the county. Governor Anne Waiguru says the county government is prioritizing improvement of level 1 and level 2 health facilities in order to save residents from seeking treatment for minor ailments in major hospitals.
Tunataka tutengeneze hizi hospitali zetu za level 1 and 2 ndio watu wakiwa na hizi magonjwa ndogo ndogo wasikuje zile hospitali kubwa, kwa sababu unaona kama sasa tuko katika hii janga ya corona na tuwezi kuwa sisi wote tunaenda hospitali moja.
Finally, the Presbyterian Church of East Africa PCEA is against calls by a section of church leaders for the government to reopen churches. PCEA Kenya leader Reverend Peter Kania says proper measures must be put in place before worshippers can congregate in churches.
Kuna msukumo mwingi kanisa sifunguriwe. Hatukatai kanisa sifunguriwe, lakini hii kavu ikipanda vile inapanda, is not the right time ya kufungua kanisa.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
In other news, the Anti-Corruption Court has ruled Busia County Governor Sospita Ojamong has a case to answer in the corruption case facing him. Anti-Corruption Court Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogoti ruled the prosecution has established beyond any doubt that Ojamong and 9 co-accused charged with engaging in a scheme to defraud the Busia County government of 8 million shillings have a case to answer.
Busia County Governor Sospita Ojamong and 9 others are charged with an attempt to defraud the Busia County government of 8 million shillings between March and September of 2014. They all are facing 7 counts, including abuse of office, conspiracy to commit economic crimes, as well as engaging in a project without proper planning. The 10 accused have informed the court they will call upon common witnesses to testify in their defense. Ojamong and his co-accused were charged on July the 4th, 2018, with the governor accused of fraudulently entering into a memorandum of understanding 4 years earlier regarding a feasibility study on solid waste management. The governor struck the deal in Berlin, Germany on April the 7th, 2014, yet he knew the study had not been budgeted for in the fiscal year 2013-2014. The case will be mentioned on July 12th, 2020. For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troenjo.
And 5 senators have been cleared to vie for the position of Senate Deputy Speaker in an election which will be held at the sitting of the Senate on June 2nd. The position fell vacant last Friday following the removal of the Rakanithi Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki. The 5 lawmakers include Kirinyaga Senator Charles Kibiru of the Jubilee Party, ODM's Stewart Mazayo of Kilifi, nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura, Margaret Kamar of Uasin Gishu, and ODM's nominated Senator Judith Pareno. For more news, schools in South Korea have been forced to close again following a new spike in COVID-19 infections in the country. Meanwhile, protesters in Minneapolis have burnt down a police station following the killing of a Black American George Floyd by the police. Details of this and more in our international news briefs.
Nigeria's Information Minister Lai Mohammed says the country is yet to receive ventilators promised by U.S. President Donald Trump last month. Mohammed denied Trump's last week remarks that he had sent 1,000 ventilators into the West African country. He said the arrival of the consignment, if actualized, would be announced publicly. Meanwhile, Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina appears to have made a U-turn regarding the much-publicized traditional herb purported to have been developed by his country. Madagascar's National Medical Academy also cast doubt on the efficacy of the Artemisia-based drink, saying it had the potential to damage people's health. In South Africa, firebrand opposition politician Julius Malema has urged people not to go to church, fearing they would contract coronavirus. Places of worship are set to reopen June 1st after President Cyril Ramaphosa announced easing of lockdown restrictions to level 3, but only 50 or less people will be allowed inside at a time. And schools in South Korea have been forced to close again following a new spike in COVID-19 infections in the country. More than 200 schools across South Korea have been forced to return to online teaching just days after being allowed back in classrooms. Most of the affected schools are in the area outside of Seoul, which has seen a fresh outbreak of the virus. On Thursday, South Korea reported 79 new cases within 24 hours, its highest number in 2 months. In Moscow, authorities have more than doubled the official death toll from COVID-19 in the Russian capital for the month of April. The city's health department now says 1,561 people died from the disease and not 639 as initially announced. Confirmation that the numbers had been underreported emerged before Russia announced 232 new deaths, its biggest daily death toll during the pandemic so far. Separately, people in Scotland are now able to meet friends and family again as the country begins to ease its lockdown after 66 days. The new rules mean that people from 2 households can meet outside so long as they keep at least 2 meters apart. In the United States, a police station in Minneapolis has been set alight during a third night of protest over the death of an unarmed Black man in custody on Monday. A police officer was filmed kneeling on the neck of George Floyd, aged 46, despite him saying he could not breathe. President Donald Trump, however, said thugs were dishonoring his memory and called on the National Guard to restore order. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
And before we take our second commercial break, let me have a look at what you're saying on our Facebook page, Channel 1 News. Luke watching live from Chekalini, Lugari, CS Education is just right because it's better for a student who is at home and safe than the one who attempts exams and dies there. Ali Mansour watching from Hola, Tana River County. Joshua Monguru, Ishmael kutoka Kisi, Nyatieko, Milimani Kinyozi watching. In fact, there is no problem if schools remain closed. Let us fight the COVID-19 first. And Steve Mola, you're saying that Purity, how can you learn from your parents? Seriously, let Waziri give students a clear way, right? Isaac Yule Moja watching from Kipture, Kapsabet, Boys, Nandi County. Dan Wambua, you watching from Machakos. We also have Bob Chatri, you also watching Channel 1 Weekend. Thank you so much. We still have much more, including business and sports. Why don't you stay with us?
Wanajivunia kwamba wao wamcha Mungu, lakini matendo yao
choose to read their Bible daily, they become wiser and they become stronger than the people who don't read their Bibles. So when you choose hard, difficult things, you become a natural leader. He brings us to church to introduce to us another higher level of relationship that is called a faith relationship. You are also a solution to somebody else's problem. You cannot be the only problem all the time.
Join Pastor Jimmy Masharia on The Master's Touch this Sunday from 8 a.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Once again, welcome back. It's now time for business news. The Attorney General has asked the management of Fairmont Hotels to justify their decision to sack all their employees after indefinitely shutting down 3 of their chain's facilities. Solicitor General Kennedy Ogeto says the government has received complaints from Fairmont staff about their unprocedural dismissal, prompting the Attorney General's office to take up the matter in the interest of the public.
A day after the management of Fairmont Hotels and Resorts wrote to staff to inform them about its decision to close shop in the country and terminate their employment, the Office of the Attorney General has intervened on behalf of employees. In a letter sent to the hotel chain, the Attorney General's office said it has not received official information about the intended closure of the iconic Norfolk Hotel, the Mount Kenya Safari Club, and the Fairmont Mara Safari Club. The Attorney General's office is seeking a detailed explanation about the hotel's chain decision to quit the Kenyan market and that of firing all employees. The AG's letter to Fairmont read in part, and quote, "This matter is of public importance and great concern to the government in view of the Attorney General's mandate to promote, protect and uphold the rule of law and defend the public interest. This office should be very grateful if you would provide it with clarification regarding the said media reports and complaints from employees, including the veracity thereof and justification for taking such action if this is the case." End of quote. The Solicitor General Kennedy Ogeto said the government has received complaints from disgruntled employees who say the sacking was unprocedural. The AG's office said the shutting down of the chain's facility will greatly affect many household livelihoods and also the country's economy. In a memo to employees Wednesday, the hotel's country manager, Mehdi Morad, cited the impact of COVID-19 and uncertainties about when the business is likely to pick up as informing the decision to close the business indefinitely and fire all workers. Benson Rioba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
The government has officially terminated the contract with Green Arava, which has been developing the model farm at the Galana Kulalu irrigation scheme after talks between Kenya and Israel failed to resolve the impasse among contractual terms. Now the National Irrigation Authority is seeking 600 million shillings from the National Treasury to complete the model farm, which is 85% complete.
The Galana Kularu irrigation scheme is one of the government's key food security flagship projects that targets to put 1 million acres under irrigation. This was to be done by developing a 10,000-acre model farm at a cost of 7.3 billion shillings to inform development of the remaining land under the scheme. However, the project, which was set to be commissioned 3 years ago, is 85% complete after differences emerged between the contractor Green Arava and the National Irrigation Authority over contractual terms, resulting in the project being halted. Efforts to resolve the impasse seem to have failed after National Irrigation Authority officials say new contractors will be recruited to complete the project at a cost of 600 million shillings.
Contract. The initial funding that we had was also severed, of course, because it could not go on. We are now relying on our own exchequer to be able to develop what we can. And there isn't much to develop really, other than the infrastructure.
Since taking over operations at Galana Kulalu irrigation scheme in 2019, the National Irrigation Authority says it has cropped 4,500 acres, producing an average of 29 bags of maize per acre, 9 bags per acre more than what Green Arava harvested.
You cannot keep asking NIA continue growing this. They have demonstrated enough. This is actually the second crop that we have demonstrated, and we have done it, and we have actually made money out of it. We've already demonstrated that this place is viable, but we don't want to go to another season without having to bring in the private capacity.
Needed is goodwill to now have private sector practitioners, farmers, to produce in a consistent way and depoliticizing the whole issue.
The National Irrigation Authority plans to hand over the model farm to the private sector and other interested entities when its development is completed to maximize production and minimize the cost of running the project. Benson Rioba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Elsewhere, low-cost carrier Jambo Jet is seeking approval from the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority to be allowed to operate 2 hubs from where it will operate 9 new local routes and 12 additional international routes. The airline, which currently operates from Nairobi, wants to add Mombasa as its new base.
Jambo Jet, which is a fully owned subsidiary of Kenya Airways, currently operates from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi as its hub. Currently, Jambo Jet operates 6 local destinations to Eldoret, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nairobi, Malindi and Ukunda, and 2 international routes to Entebbe, Uganda and Kigali, Rwanda. However, the low-cost carrier is seeking approval from the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority to add Mombasa as its new additional hub, from where it is seeking to add 9 new local routes and 12 additional international routes. Locally, the low-cost carrier has applied to be allowed to start flying to more towns such as Kitale, Lodwar and Isiolo. In the domestic market, the low-cost carrier is keen on starting 5 new routes from Mombasa to Kisumu, Eldoret, Malindi and Lamu. From its Nairobi hub, the budget carrier wants to add new routes to Kitale, Lodwar and Isiolo. Internationally, the low-cost carrier is seeking permission to start 12 new routes. If licensed, the airline will touch down in 4 new countries, including Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, Zanzibar and Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, as well as Moroni in Comoros and Zaudze in the island of Mayotte. From Nairobi, Jambo Jet is seeking to operate an all-round flight from Nairobi, Kigali, Bujumbura and back to Nairobi, and Nairobi, Entebbe, Goma, Entebbe and back to Nairobi. The airline has notified the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority seeking approval to start 10 new routes from Mombasa to Kigali, Entebbe, Addis Ababa, Dar es Salaam, Zanzibar, Moroni, Zaudzi, Bujumbura and Goma. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Wangige Bus Park in Kiambu County is getting a facelift worth 2 million shillings that consists of a dual carriageway and modern shopping stores. Roads and Infrastructure Principal Secretary Paul Maringa said construction works on the park will be done in 3 months, easing the flow of public transport.
The laying of reinforcement steel on this road continues. This is part of a 200 million shillings facelift of Wangige Bus Park and a dual carriageway to service it. Local leaders have raised concern over the design of the eastern bypass from Gitaru to Ruaka, saying it may divide the town into 2. But Roads and Infrastructure Principal Secretary Paul Maringa has allayed those fears, noting that the contractor will incorporate an underground tunnel to address that issue.
As a principle, we've agreed that we are not going to split Mwemuto or Wangige into 2 disjointed parts that are not relating. We want to maintain that continuity. And therefore, the bus park we're putting up in here, even though it is a bus park that will have a dual carriageway in between it, we are prioritizing pedestrian crossing. We are designing this road so that you're not going to have any fast-moving traffic here at all whatsoever.
Local leaders welcomed the project, noting that it would ease the flow of traffic and open it up for more business.
Tumekuja leo kusema Wangige itakuwa kama moja, barabara itapita chini, na hapa juu kutakuwa tukiendelea vile tunaendelea.
Barabara inatengenezwa ikiwa 17 kilometers na itafungua Kabete nzima. Na biashara nyingi za Wangige inakuwa ni soko. Wengi ni wakulima ambao wengine unakuta wanatoa mazao yao kutoka Nyadona, kutoka sehemu za Mogoga, zinaletwa zote Wangige. Na kwa hivyo hiyo itafungua soko yetu najua hata maendeleo itakuwa nyingi katika Kabete constituency.
Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Thank you, Betty. And Wangige Bus Park will be receiving a facelift of 200 million shillings and not 2 million like I had earlier said. Huawei has stopped pre-installing Google's Play Store in the latest generation of its smartphone line by emphasizing on Huawei's app gallery that seeks to compete with Google's Play Store and Apple's iOS App Store. Users can download features on Huawei's app gallery at a third of the cost of premium offerings. The firm has launched a Huawei Nova 7i into the Kenyan market, targeting to capitalize on the handset's stunning design, innovative camera, large battery, and powerful chipset to young users who love to play, capture, and share.
Today we are launching the Nova 7i into the Kenyan market, and it's going to make a difference to our consumers into the Kenyan market in terms of photography. It is equipped with 6.4 inches, and this is able to enhance our consumers' viewing experience in terms of watching of their videos and also reading or playing of games. The battery is 4,200 milliamps, and we guarantee our consumers a whole day of intensive usage.
It's now time for sports news. Kenya's Lawrence Cherono will not defend his Boston Marathon title after the organizers of this year's edition announced its cancellation. The marathon has been cancelled for the first time in its 124-year history because of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. The race had initially been postponed from 20th of April to 14th of September. However, the Boston Mayor, Myrtle Walsh, said the race could not be held in 2020 because of public health fears. The event is the longest running major annual marathon in the world, having been held every year since 1897. Kenya's Lawrence Cherono and Waknesh Degefa of Ethiopia won the men and women's races in 2019. English Premier League is set to restart on 17th next month with Aston Villa versus Sheffield United and Manchester versus Arsenal matches on card subject to government approval. A full round of fixtures would then be played on the weekend of 19 to 21st same month. There are 92 matches still to play. The first to take place will be those the four teams involved have in hand. All matches will take place behind closed doors. It is also understood that finishing the season would require 6 weekends and 3 midweek rounds. Liverpool sit 25 points clear at the top of the table, with Bournemouth, Aston Villa and Norwich City are in relegation places. And that's all we had prepared for you this night, Friday, the 29th of May, 2020. Thank you so much for your feedback. Let me have a look at what you're saying on Facebook first. And Noah Tanki, you are watching from Narok. Likoni, Jeremy Boiteng, you are watching Together We Shall Overcome the Pandemic. Dr. Mutua Richard, you are also watching. And Henry, you are watching from Pipeline. That is on Facebook. And just a few from our Twitter page. Omiti Jarongo, you are also watching. And Holy Brait, you're saying watching live from Kamenon, Nandi County. There is no reason of reopening schools. We have to fight this pandemic fast. All right. Omiti, you also said you are watching. Thank you so much for your feedback. Of course, I'll be seeing you again tomorrow, Saturday, for another edition of Channel 1 Weekend. My name is Purity Museo, and of course, Byron Abuli has been our sign language interpreter. Up next is Irene Muchuma Odim with the weather forecast. Good night, take care, stay safe, and God bless.
All right, time for us to have a look at how the weather will be in the next 24 hours. A very warm welcome. My name is Irene Mchuma Odim. The floods that are currently being experienced in Garissa County are as a result of an overflow at the Masinga Dam, and this is attributed to the heavy downpour that was experienced in the region the previous days. And these are just some of the pictures we were able to get for you. Residents trying to get themselves to higher grounds, at least for the night. Tonight, most parts of the country will experience wet conditions, save for the southeastern lowlands, northeastern parts of the country, and the coastal strip, where partly cloudy conditions will prevail. Saturday morning, most parts of the country will experience sunny intervals, save for Nairobi area and central region, where cloudy conditions will prevail during the morning hours before giving way to sunny intervals. In the afternoon, similar weather conditions will persist over most parts of the country, save for you in Kericho and Eldoret, where we're expecting showers, which will be accompanied by thunderstorms. Temperatures in Nairobi have slightly gone up. We are expecting maximum of 26 degrees Celsius and lows of 15 degrees Celsius. Mombasa and Malindi will experience highs of 30 degrees Celsius. This, as the whole country will experience maximum temperatures in Mandera at 37 degrees Celsius. And on that note, let's now cross the borders and see how the weather will be in other parts of the world. Still have a good night.
My name is Jeru Rukenya. I love Jesus Christ as my Savior. I serve with Presbyterian Church of East Africa, Pipeline. And I am glad to be before the presence of His people to encourage them and give them hope. I would like us to read the book of Exodus chapter 14 verses 10 to 25, but I'll read a few verses in that chapter. Please join me as we read together. Verse 13, and Moses said unto the people, fear you not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which He will show you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, you shall see them no more forever. Verse 14, the Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. 15, and the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore cries unto me, speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, stretch out thy hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground. That is the word of the Lord. I want us to meditate upon a theme on God's presence in all situations. Moses was a servant of God. He was anointed to deliver the children of Israelites from the captivity in Egypt. And we see him as a prophet of God, a man who was anointed by God to do the work of God. One of the characters that we see in Moses is that he was an obedient servant of God. And in our case, I would like to point out that obedience is very important, because obedience makes someone to live a life with joy and integrity. People who have not exercised obedience in their life have lost several things. And those who have been obedient have been rewarded. Such a time when we are facing desperation situations in our country is a time we can tell our people to be obedient. Listen to what is being instructed and obey. This is the character that is being reflected by man of God, Moses. He was commissioned to go and deliver the children of Israelites from captivity. And he did it. Where we have read, Bible says, the children of Israelites were just at the border of the sea and the promised land. And the army of Egyptians had followed them with the chariots and the horses. And then they started crying to Moses and complaining, why did you remove us from that land where we were slaves? Do you think there were no slaves there, that you have come to kill us in the wilderness? But from that point, I want to tell my viewer that Moses took an opportunity to encourage his people. So Moses was an encourager. In a situation like the one in which we are, we can be an encourager when we face challenges that we are facing, when we go through traumas of life. We need to be encouraged, be given hope, and we need confidence and help. We need to build our strength, and we need to strengthen our weakness, that we may be able to fight a spiritual battle. Let us pray. Mighty everlasting Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you and we bless your name for your goodness and love that you have given us. May you continue to encourage us as a nation. May you continue to remind us about prayer. May you continue to remind us that you have delayed in healing us, but you have not denied us healing, for you are God. May the Lord bless you and watch over you. May the Lord shine his face upon you and be gracious. May the Lord be kind to you and give you peace. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Vera Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika, and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 227428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.